Howdy, folks. Welcome back to the dark recesses of the internet. I'm old Shuck, your guide through the shadows, and you're tuned in to Messenger of the Phantom Queen. Tonight, we saddle up for a spine-chilling tale of ghost hunting gone wrong. Picture it now. The wind howling through an abandoned asylum, the creak of a door that ain't moved in years, and the whisper of restless spirits. We're riding into the heart of darkness, where the veil between the living and the dead is thin as a rattlesnake's rattle. So, gather round the campfire, light your lanterns, and keep your wits about ya, 'cause this story here ain't for the faint of heart. Hold tight, and let's see what lurks in the darkest shadows. My name is Jesse, and I'd always been drawn to the unknown. Ghost hunting became something of a hobby for my brother Jordan and I. We'd seen the shows on TV and thought it'd be cool to see some real ghosts. What dumb kids we were. It was just before the 1st of February of our senior year. We were able to round up some friends from school to actually attempt an investigation on our own like we'd seen on TV. There was this old abandoned asylum on the outskirts of town that we thought would be a fine place to scratch that itch and to see if we could really be ghost hunters. We'd gathered our best friends, Maddie and Alex, who shared our passion for the supernatural. Armed with a pair of old cameras, flashlights, and audio recorders, we arrived at the asylum just as the sun dipped below the horizon. The asylum loomed before us like a tombstone out of the overgrowth in the area outside of town, its decaying facade cloaked in shadows. The air was thick with an eerie silence, broken only by the occasional rustle of old leaves. I led the way, my flashlight cutting through the darkness as we stepped through the broken entrance. The floor creaked under our feet, and the smell of mold and decay filled the air. "We need to stick together," Maddie whispered, her voice trembling. "This place gives me the creeps." Alex nodded, adjusting his camera, ready to try and capture something. "Let's start in the main hall. We might pick up some activity there." We made our way to the main hall, the large open space illuminated by our flashlights. Graffiti covered the walls, and broken furniture was scattered across the floor. We scanned our surroundings, the pale lights of our flashlights cutting through the haze of darkness. Suddenly, a loud crash echoed through the hall. My heart raced as I swung my flashlight toward the sound. A chair had toppled over, seemingly on its own. Maddie gasped, clutching Alex's arm and hiding behind him. None of us had been near the damn thing, and I hadn't paid much attention to it as we'd entered the area. "Did anyone see that?" I asked, trying to keep my voice steady, and unfortunately failing. "No one was near it," Jordan said, his voice low as a whisper. "It couldn't have been the wind or something, could it?" I shook my head as I looked at the old metal chair. I played every scenario over in my head, but my mind didn't want to grasp onto the truth of what had happened right in front of us. "Let's continue," I said with a slight shake in my voice. "Maybe it was nothing." We continued our investigation, moving deeper into the asylum. The further we went, the more oppressive the atmosphere became. Shadows seemed to dance at the edge of our vision, and the temperature dropped noticeably to the point that I could see our breath in the air. However, it was February, so I just chalked it up to being the weather. In one of the patient rooms, Maddie noticed an old, cracked mirror hanging on the wall. It was out of place in my mind, since throughout our walk, we hadn't seen any other mirrors around, aside from some broken shards on the floors. "Guys, look at this," she called, pointing to the mirror. "I'm surprised this is still up on the wall after all this time. Do you think we can get something on this?" I sat up in front of the mirror with my camera in hand, focusing on its dusty surface. Let's see if we can capture anything unusual. As we watched the mirror, the air around us grew noticeably colder. I felt a chill run down my spine, and my breath came out like a rattle. Suddenly, the mirror's surface rippled like a lake of mercury, as if something was moving behind it. A dark shape began to form, slowly taking the shape of something human-like. "Oh my God," Maddie whispered, her eyes wide with fear as she latched onto my elbow. "What is that?" The figure in the mirror grew clearer, revealing a gaunt, pale face with hollow eyes. It stared at us, its lips moving soundlessly. My heart pounded in my chest as I tried to steady the camera. Without warning, the figure lunged forward, pressing its hands against the inside of the mirror. The glass cracked, and the room filled with an ear-piercing screech that nearly stopped my heart cold. "Get out!" The screeching voice echoed throughout the room. The mirror shattered, sending shards flying in all directions around us as we tried to shield our faces. "Run!" I shouted, grabbing Maddie's hand and pulling her toward the door. Alex and Jordan followed close behind, their footsteps echoing through the hallways. As we raced through the asylum, doors slammed shut around us, and objects flew off shelves, narrowly missing us. The air was filled with the sound of whispering voices, growing louder and more insistent. We reached the entrance, gasping for breath, and burst out into the cool night air. But our ordeal wasn't over. As we stumbled away from the asylum, I heard it, a low, guttural growl behind us. We turned slowly, expecting to see that freakish, gaunt figure. But instead we saw something that nearly gave me a heart attack. It emerged from the shadows like it were born from them. A demonic, spectral hound of darkness. Its eyes glowed an eerie green, and its body seemed to shift and waver, half hidden in a smoky, ethereal mist. The hound bared its fangs and began to stalk toward us, its growl growing louder and more menacing. I noticed in my half-frightened mind that it almost appeared as though another set of eyes were starting to open just above the first pair. "Move!" I yelled, pushing my friends forward. The hound's footpads echoed in the night, its claws scraping against the ground as it gained on us. We didn't stop running till we were a safe distance from the asylum, even after the steps from the hound were long gone. I doubled over, trying to catch my breath, while Maddie clung to me, tears streaming down her face. My brother Jordan collapsed against his truck bed, panting in fear. Our friend Alex wasn't much better, as he emptied his stomach against the base of an old oak tree. Did we get that on camera?" Jordan asked, his voice shaking. I checked the footage, my hands trembling. I remembered taking some snaps before the mirror, but I wasn't sure if I'd actually captured anything in the heat of the moment. We'd come to find out later that I'd only been able to capture one picture of note, the face of that thing in the mirror. We also found that our recorders had picked up some whispers as we ran from the asylum. However, what really terrified us was that we'd captured that hound's growls and barks as it followed us. I looked up at my friends, my face pale. "We have to warn people," I said, my voice shaking with dread. "That place is more than just haunted. Evil lives here." "But," came the quiet voice of Alex, as he'd finally composed himself, "what if no one believes us? They'll think we've lost it." I shook my head as I placed my arm around Maddie as she shook next to me. "We have to try." We never returned to the asylum, and the footage we captured hadn't convinced the police nor our parents. They just chalked it up to some teenagers pulling a prank. The old abandoned asylum remained a dark, foreboding place, its secrets hidden behind crumbling walls and shattered mirrors until it was demolished some years later. It was only then, after returning from college, that my friends and I felt safe to return to the location. It had been leveled off into a meadow and didn't feel as eerie. My friends and brother were relieved, like that chapter of their lives could be left behind. I never had the heart to tell them about the big paw prints I'd seen near that old oak tree that day. Well, folks, that brings us to the end of tonight's eerie escapade. We've wandered through the haunted halls and faced the spirits that dwell in the darkness. I reckon we've had our fill of ghostly encounters for one night. If y'all enjoyed this spine-tingling tale, don't forget to hit that thumbs up and subscribe to Asterisk, Messenger of the Phantom Queen, Asterisk. Leave a comment about your own ghostly experiences or what you'd like to see next. Remember, the night is dark and full of shadows, but together, we'll keep exploring the unknown. So until next time, keep your lanterns lit and your eyes peeled. This is Old Shuck, signing off. Stay safe out there, partners, and beware the phantoms that roam the night. Sweet dreams, if you can.